the most effective ways to handle a child with difficult behavior. Hey there, I'm Charlotte with Colorful Teaching for You. Thank you so much for joining me. And today we're going to look at how to help our children who might be struggling with difficult behavior. Because honestly, I've been there. I understand what it's like, and I understand the feeling of frustration when your child who you love so dearly is exhibiting unexpected behavior, right? So today we're going to look at how we can handle our children, how we can manage this so that we're not pulling our hair out and we're actually just showing them love and care. So is it going to be difficult? Absolutely it is, yes. But is it going to, just in the short term though, is it going to help you in the long term, and is it going to get easier? Yes, it is. So stick with me because we're going to cover how to help our children. Now, this is coming to you from a teacher's and a parent's perspective, but this video specifically is for parents. If you are a teacher here, you could still use a lot of the strategies, but I highly recommend checking out the link in the description because I've written an article and created a video just for you, and it's called How to Handle Difficult Behavior in the Classroom. All right? So let's keep going right now with the rest. Now, I want you to remember before we continue that this is not a one-size-fits-all. Your child is unique to you, and your parenting style is also going to be very different from mine. We're not here to judge each other, and we're not here to say this is it, this is the be-all, end-all, because it's not. I want you to remember that you need to adapt what we're talking about to meet your child's individual needs and their age, okay? So let's continue. I'm going to start with my story first, and well, our story as a family. So we had, when I was pregnant with my second child, I had a lot of complications first, and then when my baby came out, we struggled with the fact that he was sick, and so I was in and out of the hospital and taking care of him around the clock. I really didn't have a lot of time to be with my older son, so my husband and his relatives and my relatives were helping out, taking care of him. But over time, you know, with so much change for a child, that can be really difficult. And so he ended up starting to exhibit some not so fun or exciting qualities. And we didn't realize how difficult it was because in the beginning we saw some of the signs, but it was just the starting point that we were seeing. It was not like a big picture overview. It wasn't until we talked to some of his wonderful teachers that we realized that it wasn't just a small thing, but it was actually bigger. And so what he was doing is he wasn't listening to his teachers. He wasn't completing his assignments on time. He was telling everybody else what to do, but he wasn't doing it. And he was constantly seeking validation for the smallest little things that he was doing. So maybe just not even coloring a page, but writing a small little line or something. So it was really small things that he needed validation for, and so forth. So we needed to take a step back and really create a whole lot of structure in our day, which was really, really difficult for me because, like I said, my younger child was sick, and I was doing this around the clock. So in order to be able to create the structure, I had to do it within 30-minute blocks where my little one was taking naps. It was like I was running on a treadmill. Just think of a hamster, right? They just go, 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 go. So it was taking care of the baby, then putting him down for a nap, and then running because I literally had 30 minutes to go and spend with my my eldest son so that we could have some structure. And the structure looked more like we were playing for a bit, then we did some learning, then we did some chores, and we did some playing again. Okay, so now some of you are not into learning, and that's okay because you want your child to be a child. That's up to you. Like I said, you do you, and I'm gonna do me. Okay. So we did implement the strategies, and it worked really well because he started to enjoy being at home, and he started to want to be with other people again, as in people weren't really liking him, and so because he wasn't very nice for a while. But naturally, before I gave birth, he was a super friendly baby. I call him a baby because he's my baby, but he's not a baby, obviously. But he was a super friendly child, and he started to regress. And so when the strategies were implemented, he started to get out there. People started to like him again, and it opened up a whole new world for him all over again. So if you'd like to follow along, let's get started with the 6 strategies that I've laid out. Okay, the first strategy is be open. Now, it's easier said than done, but I really want you to be open. Now, understand from a teacher's perspective, when a teacher calls you, they've done everything they can to help your child. They have exhausted as many possibilities as they could before they have called you. Because I've done this, and I know when a teacher is calling, there's something going on, and I need to pay attention as a parent. And I get, one of the things I get from parents all the time is, oh, my child is not like this at home, or the other teacher never said this about my child. I wouldn't do that, because first of all, the way your child behaves at home is going to be very different at school, because the life is different, right? First we think about the fact that there's so many kids in the school, in the classroom. Your child's going to behave differently in that environment than at home, where you've probably got, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 kids, right? And also the management style, all of it is very different when you've got 24 plus or 30 kids. I had 60 kids at one point in my classroom. It is incredibly different when you're dealing with that versus one child at home. So they, of course, are not going to exhibit the same behavior at home as they are going to at school. And for a teacher who's seen that, who may not from before, maybe they didn't see those signs, or maybe circumstances changed, or they had other situations that were far more that were taking up far more energy of theirs, and so your child's behavior was just not as prevalent to them in that moment. So really be mindful of that before you try and shut down the teacher, okay? And this may not be a teacher talking to you. It may be another parent, or who's watching your child, or somebody else that you've got helping you out. So just be open to that part. And when you are being open, I want you to have a pen and paper and take notes. Not about every single thing that the teacher's saying, because you just don't have the time and energy for that. But I want you to be mindful of what they're saying that you can do, or ideas that come to mind that you can do to help your child, okay? So, because if you don't do that in that moment, you're going to forget it later on. There's so much that might come to mind in that moment, or emotions that might come to mind. Instead of venting at the teacher or the other person, it's better to write it down, okay? So that's the first one, be open. The second one is the initial talk. So what I want you to do is check in with your child, because there's going to be a reason why your child is acting up. More often than not, it's a way for them to get your attention for something's going on in their life, and they need some help. So I want you to really talk to your child and see why they're behaving the way they are. Now, they may not tell you right off the bat, because they may not have the words, they may not have an idea of why they're behaving. But if you also watch them for a little while, you see them in different circumstances, you'll start to be able to formulate an opinion so that you can help them. You're also better off talking to other people that are in that circle to care for your child about their ideas, what they've noticed, before you create a plan, okay? The third step is to create the plan. Now, when you create your plan, I want you to answer, I've got 7 different questions. So I'd like you to check out the link in the description for this article and go to step number 3. I've written out 7 different questions I'd love for you to answer. It's going to help you really think about how to create the plan and then create it in its entirety, okay? Now, when you look at question number 1, I want you to take a page and divide it into half. On one side, I want you to write down all of the behavior issues that you've noticed or other people have talked to you about. Then on the other side, we're going to look at actionable items of how we're going to help our child manage those behaviors, okay? That's for the first one. The other questions I've laid out are more reflection questions. You don't have to answer them on pen and paper, but I'd really love for you to think about it so that you are able to create a more detailed plan for your child, okay? Now, when you discuss this with your child, at least the plan after you've created it, I would love for you to really remind them that you love them and that you're there to support them and help them and guide them, and that you're not angry with them, but that you're in their corner and this is for their sake. So for my child, he's younger, I had to talk to him about this multiple times before we implemented, and then during our implementation process as well, because you don't want them ever feeling like they're being punished. because this is not meant to punish them, it's meant to correct. It's a corrective method, okay? So there's a little bit of a difference there. So really, really remind them, because if you're just going to say, okay, well, time out all the time, there's going to be no point to it. Why are we giving them a timeout? Instead, we're going to try and correct this behavior so that it doesn't progress and get worse over time. All right, so that's what we're looking at to do here. Step number 4 is follow through. Once you've created the plan, this is where you want to implement the plan. Now, this is not going to be easy. This, to me, is the hardest part. It's even harder than having somebody tell you that something's going on with your child. It's harder than creating the plan. It is the implementation process. And like I said before, this is where I had very limited amount of time, and I had to do this really quickly. So I literally would put the baby down and I'd run to be with my elder child. And this part requires you to spend a lot of time trying to implement one strategy at a time. Don't throw in all the behavior issue strategies that you have to do right away. So you're going to correct one thing at a time, because in the beginning, depending on your child, especially if they're having difficulty, right? You're going to be butting heads in the beginning. That's what we did. So I had to do one thing at a time, and it took a long time because it was like a little showdown happening right there for every step of the way. And honestly, it in the moment, it feels like it's never going to end. You're never going to get that peace. But it took us only a few days, and it was so much better. Within about a few days, we got it down to 5 minutes of the education part. So here's what I'm talking about. What we had to do, it might be different for you, is we need to create a big structure. So the structure looked like, we're going to learn how to, as an education, we're going to figure out how to clean after ourselves. It's not just me cleaning up your mess, because that's what my husband and I were doing at the end of the day, cleaning up everything for him. We're going to also focus on boundaries. We're going to focus on when mommy and daddy says something, are we going to fight about every single thing, or are we going to be doing it, right? You can ask why, because you may be curious, and that's okay, but we're not going to be butting heads for every single thing. When we say we're going out, it's not, I don't want to go out right now, I want to play this. It's, yeah, we're going. It's, okay, maybe you need some warnings, let's do this. Warning as in, okay, 5-minute warning, 2-minute warning. We're going to try and implement strategies together. The studying was, or the academic was, we're not falling behind. We're going to be doing a little bit of structure here. So it doesn't need to be a full day's event. Like I said, it only took 5 minutes. We did some English, we did some math. That's all it was. And then we did a little bit of reading, because that's important as well, right? And I ended up turning them into games, and he loved it so much so that when I forgot, which I did a lot of times, he would ask for it. So we ended up having this beautiful structure for us. And because I think the games were just a lot of fun, like we were bouncing balls and we were, playing cars and all that kind of stuff. But every single thing turned into an event. And honestly, he is doing things that are he's learning things that are 2 grades above his level right now. And I'm not homeschooling him by any means, but it's because we are consciously making the time to focus on different aspects, and he's loving it. And that's really what I want for you as well, to have that peace of mind. So it depends on what you need to do, obviously. You may not be dealing with academics, you might be dealing with a behavior or an emotion. So you do what you need to do for your child. Now, if your child is acting up and you need a way to teach them how to manage the behavior, how to understand their emotions, I've got a free resource for you to teach you how to create a calm down area on a minimal budget. It's absolutely free. Just check out the link in the description for this article and go to step number 4 versus follow through, and you'll see the link for the free resource to help you create this space. Now the next step to this is not a free part. It is a little bit of a paid part, but it takes this free resource and it shows your children how to track their progress, and it also allows you to track their progress as well. It also gives them ways to understand emotions and how to reflect on everything as well. So check out the link in the description again for step number 4, and you'll get access to all of that. All right. Now the next step, number 5, is to evaluate. So you're going to look at how everything went. You're going to talk to other people who are taking care of your child, and you're going to reflect as well and look at how things are going. Do you need to make changes, or is it going well and you don't need to? So look at all of that. Also check in with your child, see how they're behaving. So for us, it was talking to the teachers. We saw, oh, he's listening, so that's a good sign. So we're going to ease up a little bit because he's listening to the teachers. He's playing with people. Kids are actually inviting him to events because he's being nicer. When we are at home, he wants to be home. When we're going out, he's enjoying himself. So we started to now, it looked like for us, easing up. We started to ease up, and we realized we can go out and eat a little bit. We could go on play dates because people are actually asking him to go to play with them. We can go on what I like to call mini adventures. So there's a lot of different things that we could do because things were getting better. It didn't mean that I was letting go entirely of the structure. Once in a so out of 7 days of the week, I might now do that. The academic part of it, say 3 days of the week, not every single day. But we did the reading, for example, every day, because that to me as a teacher is super important, right? And once in a while, if I was out, I would still throw in the math there, here and there. But the super structured part, I eased up on that quite a bit. Now, step number 6 is cycle back. Because if you notice that the behavior is coming back, sometimes it does, then you're going to want to come back to the structure again, but not with the same intensity. That's what, because we noticed the same thing happening, and we didn't need to do it with the same intensity. We just kind of came back to it, eased in the structure. Within a couple of days, everything was good, and we kind of reduced it again. So if you've implemented the structure really well and you've stuck to it until things got better, and you waited till not just it got better but a little bit longer, then it becomes a habit for your child, so that in the end, when you come to step number 6, which is cycle back, you won't have to stay on this for very long at all, and you won't even have to think about it that much. So that is what I wanted to talk to you about today. So let's recap really quickly because there's a lot. We looked at the reasons why it's important to help your child who is struggling with difficult behavior. We looked at my story behind it, and we also looked at 6 different 6 steps that you could take. Number 1 is the initial talk. Number 2 is create the plan. Number 3 is follow through. Number 4 is evaluate. And number 5 is cycle back. This is a lot. If you'd like, check out the link in the description so you could actually go through the entire article, because I've written it out for you as well. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. In the meantime, remember to create, experience, and teach from the heart. Take care, my friends. Bye.